Well, here's the old RKO studio. And there's the old globe, the old world. Most of its life was spent in a monotone color. Now later on, Lucy and Desi Arnaz bought this section of the studio, and this became Desilu. Now it's all just Paramount. Now if you look over here, there's Dr. Phil. And he films the show here, tapes the show here, and I'll just continue on as Dr. Phil. Hold on. Now, Hollywood! Hollywood! See, we're still crazy over Hollywood, and here's RKO. It needs therapy and family life counsel, and we will hope to do it. We're in front of the Star Wagons. As you can tell, the spelling is with 2 G's. And that is because the creator of this company was Lyle Waggoner. That you saw on the Carol Burnett show every week. And by the way, he also auditioned for the role of, is it Bruce Wayne on Batman in the 1960s, among many other things. He was one of the cast members of Carol Burnett. The guy looked fantastic, and somehow I think he's one of the smartest ones of the cast, because even when I moved here in the early 1990s, there was already the Star Wagon Company, as in Waggoner. Somewhere along the line, he decided that acting is a hoofing, tough, rough business, and you need to get something behind yourself to rely on. Well, he's got about 10 of his trailers here now. We are at the Raleigh Studios in Hollywood, California. The beginning of United Artists Studio. That was the Charlie Chaplin, Douglas Fairbanks, and Mary Pickford business that started right here. 100 years later, and it's still very busy.
Excuse me, Mr. Freeze.
Hey.
My name's Pat Canahan. I wanted to say thank you for all your support. Thank you for all your support of USC.
This is the Producers Caucus Party. I'm really...
The caucus for producers.
Something like
writers
that.
And directors.
Yeah. I'm not sure. It's such a hodgepodge.
Those days, you know, today the ratings they got get 1.2, 2.5.
You had
we got
everything.
a 36 share on that.
As I recall, it would start on a Sunday night, I think, and then go to Wednesday or Thursday or something. But the Sunday night, 8 p.m. time slot.
Three nights, 2 hours each. Yeah. I enjoyed making that. It was very difficult, and it caused me a lot of serious issues with the finances and so forth. But eventually, once it got completed, it turned out to be very good. Very good.
What about TV series for our viewers? What TV series?
I didn't. When I was in my business for myself, I did not make a lot of series.
Well, tell us about one that lasted for at least a few episodes.
Well, when I was at Screen Gems, we made Bewitched, and the Bewitched series was on the air 9 years.
Well, that's not so bad. Now, who produced Bewitched?
Liz Montgomery's husband. William Asher was the producer.
William Asher.
And he directed most of the episodes with Liz. Of course, after the series was ended, they ended up splitting up like everyone.
Can't blame
We had the
him.
same thing at the Donna Reed show. Her husband, Tony Owen, was the producer. And when the show was over, it was Splitsville.
Well, you live together, you work together, you sleep together. You need a variance. You can't do everything together as work together, marry together, sleep together. That's too much together.
I'm going to answer yes. I'm finished. I'm up now. I'm going to start charging overtime.
Well, I'm still finishing a movie called The Wolf of Wall Street. Leonardo DiCaprio, Martin Scorsese's directing, and that comes out in November. Doing that, I may direct a project starting in the fall.
Now, I was at the Q&A earlier. There's the Wall Street 2, but this is sort of a similar one.
No, this is Wolf of Wall, a different story.
But Wall Street.
It's about
finance.
It's about a particular guy who called himself the Wolf of Wall Street. His name was Jordan Belfort. It's a real guy, and his story is pretty wild. Pretty wild. So,
now, for our audience, they look you up on IMDb, of course, but your photo is on there. Can you tell us your name to our...
Sure, my name is Rob Legato.
Nice to meet you. Thanks for being with us.
See you.
Pleasure. Thank you very much. Tell us your connection to creating the telethons and with Jerry Lewis.
Well, actually, the truth, I did 21 telethons. I did the Jerry Lewis telethon from 1991 to 2011. So I came in about halfway in the history of the telethon. It was about 20 years old when I came in.
Okay.
And there were several people before me. But Jerry and I hit it off very well. We spent a lot of time planning those shows every year. And they were very successful.
Now, why did you get in the telethon business, and what did you do before that? What kind of television were you doing?
Well, most of my whole career has been live events. I've been fortunate enough to, either as an associate producer or a producer or a director, to have done most of the major live event shows on television, and musical shows, variety shows. All of those live event presentation shows.
Now, to our audience out there, I believe are you Lee Miller?
Yep.
This is Lee Miller out there. If you ever wanted to see who he was behind the scenes, it's nice to meet you. Can you tell us your name and some of the shows besides Scrubs you work on?
Dylan Shadinsky. Work on NCIS Los Angeles and Cougar Town, as well as Scrubs and some other shows.
Now, was Scrubs, I mean, there's not a whole lot of stuff on Scrubs you can do compared to Cougar Town, would you say?
I would say there's a lot of stuff on Scrubs, yeah. Scrubs was pretty fun.
Now, when did you first get started in the visual effects?
2002.
Okay, so that's kind of recent.
Yeah.
And already you're doing some huge shows. Okay, what's, when people want to find you for a new production, for example, tell us who comes up to you now and what kind of shows are coming down the pike.
Well, usually we're a big post house, so they'll come to us for full service post, and then they'll do effects with me because I work there.
Tell us about Crazy Horse, your name, when it started, and what show you're currently doing.
Crazy Horse is a visual effects company. We started about 5 years ago. It was originally Robert Stromberg's company called Digital Backlot, and I met him on Master and Commander, and we did shots for Master and Commander together. And then we did a few more movies. We did The Aviator, and then we did Memoirs of a Geisha, and then we did John Adams. And then after John Adams, he didn't want to have a company anymore and wanted to let everybody go, and I said, I'm not letting everybody go.
Okay, now what I can't believe is in the Q&A tonight, you said the year 2001, which is only 12 years ago, that
Right.
you were kind of beginning.
Yeah.
I find it hard to believe.
Well, I started in 1997. I went to a computer school because I was tired of my previous life. And then in 2001, I moved to the United States, and I did work on a movie. Like, I did already learn my trade a little bit, and I worked on a movie. I got an agent, and I must have had some talent. That's all I can say.
You're a prodigy. It's in the blood.
I was a social worker, and I was a cab driver. I met my wife in my cab.
That is fantastic. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
We're from Seasons, Beverly Hills.
I know Seasons very well.
Yeah, hold on. Yes. In Hollywood, we all do it on camera.
I feel like I'm a student sitting in the audience learning, because I found it to be fascinating. And it's something that my mind does want to understand. So I learned a great deal being in there tonight.
You think you could go home to your big computer, your heavily laden computer with programs, and do something similar to that?
Maybe not yet, but I will eventually, yes. I got time.
Don't you think Gone with the Wind would have been a little bit better movie with this technology? When they did a lot of matte painting and glass painting of that.
No, to the contrary. I think a lot of movies that have a lot of the special effects would be better if they had a script like Gone with the Wind.
Very good point.
Very well said.
Let's hear about you. James Modern.
James Modern, yeah. And I'm just finishing up a movie, and I was talking about the next one with Paul, and the panel was terrific. It was really a great session. Oh yeah, it was excellent. And my very good friend and mentor Albert Fisher organized it right here.
Oh, the man that has seen the future. Now, we saw you earlier today.
Yeah.
While you're living in it.
He brought me, and now I know everything about visual effects. So that's
how quickly you're the modern, you're the future, and from old Berlin or somewhere.
Yeah, Berlin. Yeah, from Berlin, Germany.
The old days.
Well, I'm trying to connect the past and the future because I really do think like the truth is it's art and it's been always there. Like the biggest thing that I've learned are composition, really basic things: storytelling, composition. Placement, what makes a good shot, and that is completely independent from any softwares.
Yeah, that was interesting. Kind of a running theme between all of you guys on the stage tonight is the artistic background and the simple idea.
Yeah.
Look at the script.
It's the eye. It's like the subtext.
And look at that, and then go from there, and not overblow it with the special effects or the CGI.
Yeah,
so to speak.
Yeah, I mean, interesting. We were talking about, Paul mentioned where production design now is its own department on a set, and visual effects is something separate. And you just had started to talk about it, but where those two departments are combined more or less, and so that it should be the same thing because it's used so prolifically now in almost every film to at least some degree that it really should be.
Well, I mean, the bottom line is the guy who is in charge of creating assets is the production designer, and what they do is they have a computer and they build things in the computer to figure out, is that going to work, is that going to look good, and then they build them out. Then comes the visual effects people that build the same things or the extension of the same things in a computer with a different program. So it's kind of really like, and then they have to sort of answer to the production designer. It doesn't, we're basically playing the same tune. So in a way, in the future, I think it's just going to be essentially the same department, and the visual effects companies is going to be part of the previs at the beginning, and the production designer is going to be part all the way to the design of the final thing, because you want to have continuity in your environment. And well, what's kind of interesting is that visual effects is sort of like a child of two parents, and one parent is the camera department and the other parent is the production designer.
The writer and the director really have to become a marriage broker between everyone, because it's their creative vision that ultimately is going to bring all of these elements together to make a cohesive end product.
You are the future production designers. That will be the name on your shingle, as it were.
Well, who's the future? I'm the pastor.
Well, I don't.
Do you think really?
Well, I mean,
production design will be you,
my mentor,
and he'll come under your guys.
Well, that's hopefully
with their design background and their interior design background and their old film design background, they'll be coming under the visual effects person.
Well, my mentor, the person that has influenced me the most is Robert Stromberg, and he's a matte painter, and from matte painter he became a visual effects supervisor, and then he became part of Avatar. He became part of the design team for Avatar, and he got a production designer credit because he was basically moved from the visual effects department over to the production designer department, and he won an Oscar. He won 2 Oscars in a row for production design, and is a visual effects guy. So I think there's a reason why production designers have been there all along, and they know what they're talking about. And I work for the production design. I work for the production designer, and I'm proud to work for them and working with them. I have no desire to be one at this moment, but it's essentially we're doing the same thing. We're working on the same thing, and it blends together.
Well, it was also interesting when you showed what you had done with the Boardwalk Empire, where there were the extras that had fallen and they were on fire, and you said you made one arm move up and down because you felt like it was.
Yeah, no, I was a director.
But that's interesting, because if you come into something early, right in the inception, then you can talk to the director about those kinds of things, and you can talk to the production designer for about those kinds of things instead of having to add them later or put them in later as not necessarily an afterthought, but
No.
it would be integral to the creation right from the beginning. That's what I think is fascinating.
I think it is just a creative process is really important to be alive, and it sort of can't be a decision by committee.
My name is Rami Katrib. I'm CEO of Digital Film Tree, and currently we're working on a host of shows, including Cougar Town, NCISLA, King and Maxwell, Mistresses, a new show called Surviving Jack, which will be starting up, and a new show called Undateable, and a new show called Ground Floor.
And you did Scrubs, but that's no longer running.
We did Scrubs up
the last
until
season.
it ended on the 9th season.
Right.
So, definitely.
You live it long enough here, you do it in front of the camera.
I live in Burbank.
You live in Burbank?
I've been an administrator for the caucus for 30-some years and love working with them. They're great. They do wonderful things, mentoring especially.
Now I'd like you to mentor me.
And this is going on the air?
Okay.
Sorry, honey.
No, I'm all right. No.
What's that? Can I get a special shot here?